Melbourne, Australia, 2005. A summer's day full of promise shines down on a car full of dark secrets.
There was a rancid smell coming from the car. It was quite a warm day.
The abandoned vehicle arouses the suspicions of a park worker. Inside the trunk, a grisly find.
No one could have heard her cries for help. She had no chance.
There's another surprise. After 5 days locked in the trunk, the woman is still alive.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
I couldn't believe that she was alive, but she was.
What will shock everyone is who did this and why.
Who would have thought a woman of that profile could commit a crime so brutal and cold?
Tanya Herman is looking for love. The 36-year-old has a young daughter and 2 failed marriages.
Tanya was basically a hard-working single mum who was unfortunately vulnerable to manipulation.
Some people are highly susceptible to being influenced by others because they lack a basic, solid core of their own personality.
A simple mouse click changes Tanya's life in ways she can never imagine. It's a singles ad for a wealthy construction boss named Joe. But journalist Carly Crawford knows the real Joe is a devious serial womanizer.
Joe Corp was a basically deceitful character. His life was one lie after another.
Hello, beautiful, how are you?
Joe Corp is actually married with 2 children and deep in debt. On their first date, he seduces Tanya with promises of love and a life together.
He was certainly a very engaging personality, but a dangerous one at the same time.
It seemed to be that it didn't matter how ridiculous some of his requests were.
What's this? Put it on for me.
She was more than willing to do anything to please him.
Beautiful. Take some photos. Go on.
Detective Jamie Cookson saw how far Tanya fell under Joe's spell.
She was totally infatuated with Joe Corp.
Put your head out. That's it. That's it. Okay? Yeah.
Tanya was under Joe's control because that's exactly where she wanted to be.
Beautiful.
Tanya didn't want to take responsibility for her own life, so she let herself be led.
Joe lets Tanya in on one of his secrets, a craving for group sex,
No, you're right there. You're right there.
something his wife Maria would never agree to.
Tanya was Joe's outlet to all of his sexual fantasies. Maria Corp was a very religious person. It was not the sort of thing that she would have been involved with.
When Joe's wife Maria discovers a photo of Tanya,
Who is that?
she threatens to end their marriage.
It's Daz's new girl.
Oh, why are you lying to me?
Not lying to you, I don't know her.
Joe tries to end the affair by sending a series of emails. Faking his own death.
That correspondence said that he died in a car accident in Barcelona.
But Joe changes his mind. He wants her back. And despite the heartbreaking lies, Tanya returns to his side.
It didn't matter how much Joe lied to her about things, she would always forgive him.
Joe's action of faking his own death to a woman who was deeply in love with him and then re-emerging and saying he was only injured was a master manipulation of her heart.
With Tanya hopelessly in his thrall, Joe comes up with a more sinister plan. He wants his wife, Maria, to die at the hands of Tanya.
To retain his affections, this is what she felt she needed to do. She felt she had no other choice.
In Melbourne, Australia, Joe Korp has lust in his heart and death on his mind. He wants his mistress, Tanya Herman, to kill his wife, Maria.
Joe obviously saw a way of keeping the money and keeping the house and keeping the girlfriend and having all of his fantasies fulfilled, basically having his cake and eating it too. But the only thing that was in the way there was Maria.
Joe plans everything down to the last detail. A swimming cap to prevent Tanya leaving hairs at the scene, and a bag strap to choke his wife to death.
Tanya would do anything for Joe, anything to keep him happy, including murder. The thought of losing Joe was intolerable.
Joe Korp lets Tanya into his garage to lie in wait for Maria. His chilling parting words.
And don't let the bitch come out of here alive.
If there was one question I could ask Tanya, it would be, did you wonder why your lover wanted you to kill his wife? Why wasn't he doing it?
Maria came out to get into her car in the garage to go to work as she normally did every other day. Tanya snuck up behind her, placed the bag strap over her neck and started to strangle her.
Tanya described a feeling of detachment at this time. She felt like she was an outsider watching this horrific spectacle unfold before her. All that changed when Maria fell to the ground. Blood came out of her mouth. And Tanya suddenly had the shocking realisation that this is real. This woman is dead.
Scared, alone, Tanya's only thought is to get rid of her victim. Joe told her to dump Maria's body as far away from their home as possible. Then she hears sounds coming from the trunk.
Tanya Herman thought that while she was driving along the highway, she could hear moans.
Unconsciousness can occur very rapidly whenever there's compression of the blood vessels in the neck. Now, this would mean that her breathing would be so shallow and she was so limp that the perpetrator was not smart enough to check for a pulse to see if her heart was still beating.
As Maria gasps for breath, a panicked Tanya abandons the car in a quiet street.
Tanya Herman was manipulated, yes, but it doesn't excuse what she did. She killed a woman in cold blood. She knew what she was doing and she took steps to cover up the crime.
But Tanya's obsessive love has blinded her to other risks.
Joe had an alibi. He was at work when the crime took place. Tanya had no such alibi. Joe didn't supply her with one.
As police close in,
Hey, come over here, quick!
Joe becomes a prime suspect. He blames Tanya for the murder.
She was shocked.
He's prepared to testify and he's prepared to stand up in court and say...
She felt betrayed and she washed her hands of Joe from that moment.
Tanya murdered for love. Now, she realizes that Joe's love is a lie.
I conducted an interview with her and she totally confessed to the whole thing.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
She realised that she'd been Joe Corp's patsy and that he was going to blame the entire thing on her and walk away free. So the love that she once had for him was well and truly gone by that stage.
Tanya Herman and Joe Corp are charged with attempted murder. Maria Corp never wakes from her coma and dies 5 months later.
On the day of Maria Corp's funeral, Joe attended the funeral. Later that night, he took a bag of ropes and personal diaries to his shed. And he hung himself.
Once Maria had died, we were going to upgrade the charges from attempted murder to murder against Joe Corp. So he took the coward's way out and committed suicide.
Tanya Herman is left to suffer the consequences of her actions. In July 2006, she is sentenced to 12 years in jail.
In many ways, there are two victims in this story. One was Maria Corp, the other was Tanya Herman. I think it's safe to say that had she not met Joe Corp, she would not be in jail now.
A young murderer doesn't start killing out of the blue. It's hard to accept the warning signs from a child, but missing them can be deadly. Fayetteville, Georgia. A quiet, sleepy city of God-fearing folk.
One of the neat things about living here is just to see how people have a love for God.
Local Reverend Glenn Stringham tends to a tight-knit Baptist congregation. When something is amiss, he finds out fast. In August 2004, it came in a phone call from a concerned parishioner.
She called me on the phone. She said, Glenn, she says, I don't know what's going on, but something has to be happening at the college. I've been trying to call them. I can't raise them. I'm not sure what happened, but something's going on.
Carl and Sarah Collier are in their 70s, a kindly couple who rarely miss a Sunday in church.
Both of them very outgoing, very helpful. If we were going somewhere, they were first on the scene. They didn't wait for somebody to ask them. They were first to help.
Reverend Stringham's congregation are about to face a test of faith and forgiveness. The Colliers have been found brutally murdered in their home, stabbed over 20 times each.
This crime scene in particular was probably the most bloody, horrifying, violent crime scene I've ever seen in my life.
Adding to the horror, the identity of one of the killers. It's the victim's granddaughter, Holly Harvey. She is 15 years old.
Holly is one of the most dangerous teenage offenders I'm aware of.
She was not a Sunday school girl. She was not a girl that would adhere to the Collier's rules. Holly wanted to do what Holly wanted to do, irregardless of any rules and regulations set forth by the Colliers.
Author Dale Hudson needed to know, what turns a teenager into a killer? In researching a book on the case, Dale soon discovers that Holly Harvey's problems began at home.
Her mother and her father had divorced at an early age. Holly was left to the care of her mother. There were a lot of parties. There was a lot of inappropriate social behavior, a lot of immoral behavior, and Holly was pretty much left to herself.
It only gets worse when Holly's mother is jailed on drug charges. The Colliers do what they think is right and take in their wayward granddaughter. But the strict rules of a retired Baptist couple are not for her.
She was not a child that was going to be obedient. She was accustomed to living her own life. Holly's mother, Carla, allowed her to smoke marijuana. Carla allowed her daughter to live a promiscuous lifestyle without any boundaries.
It's a lifestyle that's incubating a killer.
Although there are plenty of sullen teenagers, not all of them have the childhood history that Holly did. Holly was hell-bent for a path of destruction starting much earlier in her life. This was in Holly's soul long before the night it happened.
Boiling with anger and resentment, Holly finds a soulmate, 16-year-old Sandy Ketchum.
There were a lot of similarities between Holly and Sandy. They both grew up without the parental guidance that most children get. They both grew up in a dysfunctional family. They had been abandoned by their parents and left to their own. They sought solace and they found comfort in each other.
Sandy and Holly are inseparable. They take drugs together and begin a sexual relationship. Holly is now on a collision course with her conservative grandparents. It will end in catastrophe.
For many teenagers, every relationship is a matter of life and death. They must have it or they will die. Sometimes that's taken to an extreme.
Age 77 and 73, Carl and Sarah Collier are at their wits' end. Their 15-year-old granddaughter, Holly, lives under the Colliers' roof, but not under their control.
I think it had to do with the fact that her grandparents said, look, you're in our house, we do want you to live by the rules, and she didn't want to live by the rules.
Holly's drug taking is a problem. So is her lesbian lover, Sandy. Old-fashioned discipline is met with frightening threats.
They were at a loss of what to do. Even when Holly begins to threaten them and say that I'm going to kill you, they still could not imagine that their 14-year-old grandchild, the one that they had loved and nurtured, would be saying things like that to them.
Most children, teenagers, do not say, I want to kill you or I will kill you. As hard as it is for a parent or a grandparent to listen to that, they must act on it for the benefit of the child and to save their own life.
The Colliers can't accept the warning signs. They respond with a threat of their own, sending her to a children's home. Holly is cornered.
Holly's first and immediate thought was, then I'll be separated from Sandy. I'll be separated from the person that I love the most.
The most important part of her life is at risk.
She was not going to let that relationship die. And anything that got in the way of that relationship, she was determined to get rid of, including the Colliers.
A terrible urge is building inside this 15-year-old. She enlists her girlfriend, Sandy, in a shocking plot.
I will prove to you how much I love you by killing my grandparents.
Sandy.
On the eve of the killing, Sandy sneaks into Holly's bedroom, and their deadly plan takes shape.
Part of Holly's plan for murder was to compose a to-do list. On her forearm, she wrote 4 words. These were her cue words for murder: kill, keys, money, and jewelry.
The to-do list that Holly wrote on her arm indicates a level of extreme detachment from the violence that was about to happen.
Because Sandy was already there and already involved, Holly gave her a knife.
Holly knows the smell of marijuana will lure her grandparents downstairs.
She instructed Sandy to hide behind the bed. It would be an ambush of 2 with a large butcher knife against a defenseless and an aged couple.
As the Colliers investigate, Holly springs her trap, stabbing her grandmother in the back. What she doesn't count on is Carl Collier fighting back.
Carl wrestled Holly to the bed and was able to subdue her.
Carl Collier desperately fights for survival with his own granddaughter.
Holly has a big, bloody knife. Carl Collier only has his hands for defense. She cuts the phone cord. Holly stabs him several times.
Holly isn't finished.
Sandy says to Holly, "Your grandmother's alive. Maybe we can get help for her." "No, she needs to die. The bitch will die." She begins to stab her repeatedly, over and over again, until she is assured that her grandmother is dead.
Dripping in blood, the 2 young girls stand in a scene of shocking devastation.
It was unimaginable, the most horrifying thing that anyone had to have stepped into.
I think the fact that Holly chose to use a knife for the killings speaks of her disregard for life and her hatred and rage. That's a hands-on crime, which is hard to understand because these are people that were trying to help her. Holly didn't want anybody's help. Holly was angry.
Sarah had 35 stab wounds, and Carl had 23. When I see that many wounds, I think about rage. That's many more wounds than you need to cause somebody's death. And it says to me that an individual was either on drugs, their mind was altered, or that they were incredibly angry.
The image of these grandparents who took in this problem child, the image of them running from her, probably holding their hands up to stop the knife from going in their bodies, it's one of the worst things I can imagine.
Holly and Sandy have checked off part 1 of their brutal to-do list. They quickly run through the next 3 items: keys, money, jewelry. It seems organized, but young killers are still children. They rarely think beyond impetuous short-term goals. Their plan cost 2 lives, but soon they run out of ideas.
Holly and Sandy's crime was a reflection of what was going on in their heads, which was pretty much nothing. It was poorly thought out, poorly planned, poorly executed.
They drove over to the friend's house, reported to the friends the reason that they were bloody was that they'd been accosted by someone and had been attacked by someone. But later on, they confess in a very giggly manner that they had actually killed Holly's grandparents.
The friends are horrified. It's not long before police trace their truck and their cell phone calls. Holly and Sandy's dream of a new life of freedom is over.
Holly very much resented authority. She very much resented people who wouldn't let her do whatever she wanted to do.
To criminal profiler Candice DeLong, Holly was sending out all the warning signals of a deadly young woman. If she didn't kill her grandparents, someone else would have felt her fury.
What might she have done later in life if she were not caught to someone who wouldn't share their soda pop with her? Dangerous, dangerous woman.
Broken and remorseful, Sandy Ketchum is jailed for life. Defiant to the very end, Holly Harvey now serves 2 life sentences.
The very thing that she fought against, she is now going to be subjected to for the rest of her life. She has someone telling her when to get up, when to go to bed. She has rules that she has to follow. It is ironic, the very authority that she fought with the Colliers that she's subjected to now and will be hopefully for the rest of her life.
Gun Barrel City, Texas, 1982. Jimmy Don Beats unwinds after a hard day working at the fire department.
Jimmy Don Bates was a wonderful man. He was loved by so many people.
I'm Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Nice to meet you, Billy.
Just an old country boy that everybody had a lot of respect for.
Also at the bar, a lively waitress named Betty Lou Barker. Betty Lou takes a shine to the laid-back Texan.
He thought she was really a lot of fun and a very cute person. And so he married her after knowing her for about 6 months.
But Betty Lou's sassy charm is just a mask. Jimmy Don Beats is being quietly stalked by a black widow.
In the world of homicide, a black widow is the term given to a woman who chooses a mate, marries, and kills him for profit.
Oh, Betty was fun. She was so cute. She was a sharp dresser. She was a great dancer, and she was really a good time.
For crime writer Irene Pence, Betty Lou Beats is a compelling character. Married at 15, she has 6 children.
After she had the 6th child, she thought that staying home with a lot of children was not fun. And so that's when she started going to the bars and meeting other men.
Betty Lou's bar hopping is too much for her husband of 18 years. He files for divorce. In the following years, men and money come and go. But Jimmy Don Beats looks like he might be the real thing. He's her 5th husband in 10 years.
He had been divorced for a few months, and he was looking towards an early retirement and didn't want to be retired and alone.
Early in the marriage, Betty Lou has a special request. She wants a wishing well built in the front yard.
How long is this well gonna take, Jimmy?
Black guy, woman. It's done when it's done.
Her devoted husband is happy to help.
He showed such love for her, and she was so sweet to him.
That sweet nature is all a facade.
Betty Lou was capable of showing people her good face, the people that mattered to her. She would smile at them, make them feel good about themselves. Who would suspect anybody that nice of murder?
Make a wish.
Jimmy Don Beats is in serious danger.
Damn, woman.
He has just dug his own grave. Jimmy Don Beats is a down-to-earth Texan fire captain.
Sounds like a proposition.
Married to new wife Betty Lou, he's just a few years from retirement.
I think everybody at that time in the department knew Jimmy Don Beats.
A chaplain at the Dallas Fire Department, Denny Burris worked alongside Jimmy Don.
Very responsible individual who had one quality that seemed to rise above a lot of other people in common sense.
But common sense isn't enough to see through the mask of a killer.
Black widows don't have too much difficulty putting on a mask and appearing to be an ordinary person to everyone around them. Sociopaths can do that quite well. They don't hear voices. They're not delusional. They're not killing for fun or for sex. It's a cold-blooded event.
Betty Lou Beats is a lady with many secrets. Her last husband, Doyle Wayne Barker, hasn't been seen for a year. Because he's buried in Betty Lou's backyard.
She told her daughter that she really wanted to get rid of him. And so the daughter said, well, divorce him. And she said, and then I'd lose the trailer, and winter's coming. Well, I would be out here in the cold.
You know what, Shirley? I'm gonna kill Wayne.
And so she tried to get her daughter to help her bury Wayne Barker.
Betty's daughter, Shirley, is shocked. But her mother is a strong woman. Betty Lou will do the dirty work. Her daughter just has to help clean up.
Betty's state of mind was calm, cool, and collected.
Good riddance, Wayne.
These were not crimes of passion.
Within a year, Betty Lou has a new husband and a new reason to kill.
With a husband, if he had money, she could get it by murdering him, then she would murder him.
Well, go on. Make a wish.
Oh, making a wish.
He was probably the wealthiest of her husbands. He had a house that was all paid for, a boat that was all paid for. There was a lot of monetary gain to kill Jimmy Don.
6 months into their marriage, Jimmy Don goes missing.
I received a call that morning that Jimmy Don had apparently drowned in an accident out at Cedar Creek Lake.
His fishing boat is found drifting on the lake, empty. While the search goes on for days, no body is found. All that remains is an air of suspicion.
They found it very strange that Jimmy Don turned up missing in the first place because he was a very careful boater. He didn't take any chances.
Betty didn't act normally for a grieving widow.
She made the statement, if they don't find Jimmy Don, when can I expect to begin receiving benefits? For me, it was like just kind of aghast that she would even ask something like this. This is only the third day that we've been out there.
Is it gonna be big enough, Jimmy?
It'll be big enough.
Jimmy Don Beats is not at the bottom of the lake.
It's gonna be beautiful. You wait. When it's finished,
After 4 days building Betty's wishing well, he falls into bed, exhausted. The Black Widow moves in for the kill.
Bye-bye, Jimmy.
This time, Betty's son Bobby is tangled in her deadly web.
Go, Bobby.
She has her well,
Go there, Jimmy.
and now she has her wish. A husband buried beneath it.
Bye-bye, Jimmy. Bobby? Bobby?
Bobby was so afraid that something was going to happen to his mother, knowing now she had actually killed her husband.
There, is that his medicine? Is that his collar medicine?
Betty gets Bobby to finish the crime.
It's to put in the boat, Bobby, okay? It's to put in the boat.
He takes Jimmy Don's fishing license, his glasses, and his heart pills,
What's the fishing license?
puts them in his boat, and sets it adrift on the lake.
We're gonna put it in the boat.
2 years pass. Jimmy Don's disappearance is still a mystery. Then Betty Lou finds a new man and jokes about having buried her own husband.
I guess the old saying, your sins are going to always find you out. Well, they did in Betty Lou's case, and it came as a result of just a slip of the tongue.
Betty Lou's new boyfriend also has loose lips. He takes the news straight to the police.
The person that I spoke to informed me that Betty Lou actually told him that there was a body buried under her porch. So that was my first solid clue.
Detective Rick Rose pays Betty Lou Beats a visit. Underneath the wishing well, he finds a body. It's missing fire captain Jimmy Don Beats. Out back, another surprise. The body of Doyle Wayne Barker.
Most people don't expect a woman to kill 2 husbands in the same house with the same gun over a period of 3 years.
I don't think Betty thought for a minute that she would get caught. The boldness of burying the body of someone you killed on your own property, no, she did not think she was going to get caught.
Careful, Bobby. All right, go
Arrested for murder, Betty Lou will do anything to save herself.
Oh, for God's sake, Bobby! Hopeless boy. Sorry, Mama.
Betty put Betty first, and that's the bottom line.
She turns on her own children, trying to blame them for the murders.
I don't think she cared. I don't think she felt any empathy for her victims, nor did she have any empathy for what her kids might have been feeling involving them in this.
The trial jury finds Betty Lou guilty of 2 murders.
My visit with her at the trial is something that I don't think in my mind's eye will I ever forget. I don't know how you can describe the eyes of that lady. Her stare was just a glaring type of stare. And her eyebrows weren't raised, but they were just staring.
Betty Lou's deadly past is finally exposed. After arguing with her second husband, she shoots him.
She shot him at least twice. And she explained to the police how he was trying to attack her. And they always questioned why the bullets were in the back of his head.
He survives. Husband number 3 also has a lucky escape.
She tried to run him over with her car. He managed to jump behind a van and saved his life.
Her next 2 husbands end up buried in her yard. But Jimmy Don Beets will be Betty's final victim. On February 24th, 2000, Betty Lou Beets is executed by lethal injection.
Most of the homicides I worked were generally spontaneous. They happened because of an event. Somebody, got mad, angry, and committed the act. Those are different types of mindsets. And in her case, the mindset was purely premeditation and planning. She was a cold-blooded killer.